Today, I'm stoked to tell you about a brand new super intense survival horror series that just dropped, and man, it's a wild ride. Picture this, a freak, deadly snowfall hits Earth. If people even touch this stuff, they're instantly toast. Gone. In just a few hours, whole cities basically turn into ghost towns. But hold up, this ain't no regular weather event. Nah, this is an invasion by some mysterious force way beyond anything humans can comprehend. We follow a small band of survivors just trying to make it, trying to protect their families and loved ones. And they're not just fighting off the freaky monsters lurking outside. They've also got to deal with their own kind. People pushed to the absolute brink by the whole messed up situation. Fear, betrayal. It all starts creeping in. Nobody trusts anybody. What kicks off as a fight for survival quickly spirals into this bizarre, twisted nightmare. The series starts off all chill, down by a marina. Three best girlfriends are hanging out, planning a big trip. One of them is about to head off to study abroad, so they want to throw an epic farewell party. The night air's fresh, everything's peaceful. As they're deep in conversation, boom, an aurora appears in the sky. Something they've never seen in this part of the world. Seconds later, the ocean goes berserk. Crazy waves start crashing, and the boat's navigation system just dies. One girl ducks into the cabin to check things out and totally freaks when she sees her two friends outside just collapse for no reason. Now, she's the only one left. Meanwhile, in the city, three dudes are driving to a friend's place. Traffic's a nightmare cause of a massive protest, so they're completely stuck. No choice but to find another route. On the way, they swing by a liquor store for some whiskey. Cause, guys getting together, gotta have some booze to loosen things up. They finally make it, and their buddies Tano and Lucas are waiting. Tano's wife greets them all cheery-like. She's on her way to toss out a bunch of her husband's old phone books. Everyone says their hellos and sits down for a game of cards. The bald guy is Lucas. The others are Tano, Juan, and Russo. And the young dude in the red shirt? That's Omar, Russo's brother-in-law. It's a peaceful evening in this little room. Jokes are flying, cards are being shuffled, everyone's laughing and having a good time. But Omar, being a restless dude, starts wandering around, nosing into everything. He stumbles upon this weird-looking mask. Russo's like, hey man, don't touch that. Tano's really protective of his stuff. Omar knows he messed up, apologizes, and puts the mask back. Then everyone gets back to the serious business of card playing. Just when things are getting good, bam. The lights flicker out, and everyone's phones suddenly die, even though they were fully charged just a second ago. Then, something changes. A strange sound creeps in, like heavy rain, but distorted. Nobody pays it much mind at first. Suddenly, Tano's wife screams, totally panicked, saying their next-door neighbor just collapsed outside. Everyone rushes to the window and sees him lying motionless on the ground. They notice something that looks like snow falling, which is nuts. It's summer, why would there be snow? Tano tries to rush out, but his wife stops him. Something dangerous is in the air. Then a car smashes into another parked car on the street. The tension ratchets up, big time. They try calling their loved ones, but their cell phones are dead, and even Tano's landline has no signal. That's when Tano takes charge. Seal the house now. Shut all the windows, make sure we're safe. While everyone splits up to do their part, Russo starts panicking, worried sick about his family. Tano tries to calm him down, saying everything will be okay. But Omar, instead of helping, pipes up that Tano's just giving Russo false hope. Things get heated, and they start arguing. In the chaos, Russo grabs his coat, throws it over himself, and bolts out the door. He only makes it a few steps before he collapses on the sidewalk, dead instantly. Everyone inside is just stunned, frozen. Tano can't hold it in. He turns on Omar, fury in his eyes. Blaming Omar for his friend's death, they nearly come to blows before the others manage to pull them apart. The room falls silent. The temperature drops fast. They start bundling up in thick coats to stay warm. Juan's mind is a wreck, thinking about his daughter Clara and his ex-wife Elena. Just then, a loud banging comes from the garage door. A woman's voice is pleading for help. Tano hesitates. Omar says not to open it. Who knows who's out there? But the others convince him, let's just save them first. To be safe, Tano grabs a gun, just in case. They open the door, and a young delivery girl named Inga appears. She says she was fixing her bike when the snow started falling. They let her in, though they're still suspicious. Meanwhile, one sneaks out to the garage, looking for car keys. He's desperate to get back and check on his family. But when he tries to start a car, the engine won't turn over. Tano notices something weird. The snow on the ground has changed color, like it's not dangerous anymore. Then the group gathers inside to figure out a plan. Tano, being a scientist, theorizes it might be a solar flare or some atomic explosion creating an electromagnetic pulse that fried all the electronics. All this time, Juan is pacing, frantic about his family. Suddenly, they spot a neighbor still alive across the street. They wave like crazy, trying to warn him not to open his window. But it's no use. The couple opens it, and they're dead in an instant. That moment just steals Juan's resolve. He has to go, no matter what. Tano gets it and promises to make Juan a protective suit. They'll use some waterproof fabric and Tano's weird mask. Everyone works through the night to finish the suit. Tano, ever cautious, suggests Juan take a gun for protection. But just as everything's ready, Omar loses it again. He snatches the gun, threatens everyone, and demands the suit, claiming it was his idea. Tano reacts lightning fast, disarming him in a heartbeat. He stares Omar down. I'm in charge here. Don't like it? Get out. Threaten this group again, and I won't hesitate. Finally, Juan suits up, opens the door, and steps outside. The city he knew is gone. Only bodies on the street, an eerie silence, and deadly snowflakes covering everything. It's like the end of the world. But Juan's mission is clear: get home to his wife and daughter. Cut to a flashback, before the deadly snow. In an apartment building lobby, residents are gathered, arguing about power outages. Everyone's stressed and tired. They're complaining about constant blackouts plunging the city into darkness. Just as someone's about to suggest a fix, the lights flicker and die. A massive explosion shakes the building. Moments later, a car loses control and smashes right into the building. Confused, a man goes to check it out, but as soon as he steps outside, he collapses, dead on the spot. Back in the present, on the desolate, deadly streets, Juan presses on. Step by step, he walks through a city that's now a graveyard. Frozen, contorted bodies are everywhere. Clearly, whatever's falling from the sky isn't just snow. It's death, pure and simple. But what haunts him most is a sound. An eerie whistling, a faint, ghostly tune in the air. He can't see anyone, but someone is definitely out there. A few blocks later, Juan finds a stranded train. Inside, a group of young people are still alive, desperately begging for help. But in this situation, he's powerless to do much. One can only give them a little water, telling them he'll find help. He can't stay, he can't risk it. Heartbroken, he has to leave them, continuing his journey. Back at Tano's house, the tension is thick, but they're holding on. Tano paces, worrying about their food supply, about the water being contaminated, and about Juan, who's been gone a long time. Doubt starts to creep in. He argues with Anna, Tano's wife, and Lucas. He's not sure who he can trust anymore, especially after Omar's little mutiny. One time, Tano sees Inga holding his gun. He's surprised she knows how to use a weapon. Turns out, she used to be a soldier, properly trained. Just then, the gas in the house runs out. Everything feels like it's hitting a breaking point. Inga's sick of waiting. She grabs one of her helmets, ready to go outside. But Tano stops her. Instead, he shows her a homemade mask he just finished, though he has no idea if it actually works. So, he wants to take Inga's bike and go out himself. While checking the bike, Tano makes a crucial discovery. Old school stuff, things without modern tech, still work. To test it, he hooks up an old record player to a car battery. And just as he thought, it plays perfectly. Meanwhile, Juan finally reaches his wife's apartment building after what felt like an endless journey. It's the same building from the flashback, and it's chaos there too. He finds a group of people gathered, praying. Juan opens his wife's apartment door. The living room is empty. He calls out for his wife and daughter, but no answer. Suddenly, Juan sees a stranger in the room, thinks it's a thief, and grabs him by the throat. But after an explanation, he learns his wife asked this young guy to come get medicine. Right then his wife Elena, well ex-wife to be exact, walks in. But Clara, their daughter, isn't there. Elena says she let her go to a friend's for dinner. She texted Juan the address, but now phones are useless. Juan is worried sick and chews Elena out for letting their daughter stay out overnight alone. Now there's only one way: find the address at Clara's school. But time is running out. As they open the door, they find neighbors blocking their way. They demand to know how Juan survived the snow to get there. Juan briefly explains about needing to cover up, but that's not enough. They demand to see his mask. Juan senses things are about to get ugly. He pulls his gun for self-defense and uses the chance to make a run for it. But the people in the building have guns too. They immediately chase after them, firing without hesitation. Juan and Elena race up the stairs, hiding in an empty apartment. Inside, he gives her the mask, telling her to go find Clara. She hesitates at first but then agrees. Outside, the building residents are still trying to break in to steal the mask. The two of them quickly rig up a makeshift protective suit for Elena. Then, without looking back, Elena jumps out the window, landing hard but safely on a truck parked below. She then takes off for their daughter's school. One stays behind to hold off the mob. When they break in, they use chairs to smash the windows, then try to cover their heads with plastic bags to avoid the snow. The freezing air rushing in scares them off. Juan seizes the opportunity and jumps out. But the plastic bag over his head cuts off his air. He stumbles, collapses, and passes out. While Juan's unconscious, he sees a strange vision. He's in a misty valley, everything gray and silent. Then a man appears, and everything turns blood red. When he wakes up, he's in a vehicle, surrounded by people in full hazmat suits. He's terrified, thinking he's been kidnapped, then realizes it's his wife and his friends. Turns out, Tano's group, wearing their homemade masks, made it to a fire station. There, they found real protective suits and specialized gear. Just then, they heard gunshots in the distance and immediately raced towards the sound. They found Juan unconscious in the snow. Luckily, Tano found an old car without electronic components, so it still ran fine. Flashback again, back to the night before the deadly snow. This time, it's Inga's story. She agreed to cover a delivery shift for her brother so he could play in his soccer game. Just a small favor. But that choice sealed both their fates. Back in the present, the car has brought everyone back to Tano's house. Tano is still wrestling with the radio. He twists the dial, trying every frequency, desperate to make contact, but it's no use. No one answers. Just static and silence. Lucas is getting increasingly anxious, suggesting they leave the city to find a safer place. People argue, but Tano is adamant about staying. Juan just wants to get a car and find his daughter. Tano stops him, saying they need to stick together now more than ever. Suddenly, a mysterious figure appears outside, walking towards Tano's house. Turns out, it's Benito, the owner of the nearby hardware store. Benito begs to borrow their car, saying he needs it to transport supplies for other survivors. But Tano flatly refuses. At this point, you can't trust anyone. The tension in the room is thick. While everyone's distracted, Omar sneaks the car keys and takes off. Naturally, this pisses everyone off. But what's really bugging Tano isn't just the car. It's that Benito is now working with someone named Roberto. An old enemy Tano hasn't spoken to in 20 years after some big falling out. Out on the road, Omar drives through the deserted streets, dodging wreckage. Suddenly, the sky changes color. Distracted by the weird phenomenon, he loses control and crashes into a storefront. Elsewhere, Juan and Elena are trekking across the city, desperately looking for a car to get to Clara's school. Night falls, and they take shelter in an abandoned car. Elena notices Juan isn't doing well when she sees he's wearing a hearing aid. Holding a gun again has shattered something inside him. Since leaving the army, Juan swore he'd never resort to violence. But now he's back on that edge, and it's tearing him apart. As they're talking, looters prowl outside like hungry wolves. As for Omar, some good Samaritans find him and save his life. Karma, huh? Back at Tano's, the silence is tense. The sound of looters outside. It's already reached that stage. Tano stays up all night, trying the radio for help, but all he gets is cold, hard silence. The next morning, Juan and Elena finally make it to Clara's school. They split up. Juan looks for an old car that might still run. Elena goes to the main office to find Clara's friend's address. While searching, Elena hears a noise. She quietly follows it and finds a little boy hiding in a locker. His name is Pablo. His so-called friends locked him in there as a prank. But because of that, he dodged a bullet. Juan tries to warn Pablo about the dangerous snow outside, but the stubborn kid won't listen. Only when he sees his friends' frozen bodies scattered across the yard does Pablo finally get it. Elena asks about her daughter's friend. Pablo fibs, saying he knows the friend's address, and agrees to help if Juan and Elena take him home. But instead of the friend's address, Pablo leads them to his own house. When they get there, he sees his whole family is dead. He's in shock and passes out. Great. Now Juan and Elena have to drag him along. But the trauma gives Pablo a high fever. He's out of it. Elena convinces Juan to break into a pharmacy for medicine. Juan's not keen, but Elena keeps insisting, so he agrees. Once inside, a pregnant woman suddenly appears outside, begging for help. Juan is suspicious and doesn't want to open the door, but kind-hearted Elena wants to let her in. Turns out, it's a trap. The woman's boyfriend pops out with a gun, threatening them. He steals their car keys, Elena's backpack, and locks them both in the bathroom. No good deed goes unpunished, right? Luckily for them, Pablo is still hiding nearby. After the robbers leave, Elena convinces Pablo to open the door. They give him the mask that was meant for Clara. The three of them have no choice but to walk back to Tano's house. They pass a family loading up their car, preparing to flee. Juan thinks about jacking the car to move faster, but after a moment, he realizes he can't do something so heartless, so he lets it go. On the way, he notices a lot of weird stuff. Personal belongings scattered all over the ground. When he passes the stranded train, the people he saw before are gone. All that's left are signs of a struggle. When they get back to Tano's, Juan learns the group is preparing to leave. He wonders why Tano, who was so determined to stay put and wait for rescue, has suddenly changed his mind. Tano explains he discovered Earth's magnetic field is gone. Compasses don't work. The world's falling apart. They have to find their own way to survive. Meanwhile, that couple who stole Juan's car are taking a break. Karma comes quick. A mysterious monster attacks their vehicle, sending the scummy pair to meet their maker. Back at Tano's, the survivors take a moment to bury their fallen friend. A small, quiet funeral for Russo. The losses still sting. No one's really over it, but life has to go on, even if the world is ending. After the funeral, Juan and Elena disagree about the next step to find Clara. Elena wants to stay and take care of Pablo. The boy is still weak and feverish. But for Juan, every second that passes means the chances of finding his daughter get slimmer. Tano prepares for one last supply run before heading to his island house. Before leaving, he suggests Anna help Juan find the address in the old phone book. Luckily, the phone book is still in the trash. Juan flips through it and finds the address. A glimmer of hope. Tano and Lucas head to the supermarket. They take walkie-talkies, staying in contact with Inga, who's on watch. Inga reports that Juan found the address and is heading downtown. Meanwhile, Juan walks alone on the snow-covered road. Suddenly, a car pulls up, the door opening like an invitation. It's Tano. He tells Juan, "I'm not gonna let this damn blizzard ruin a 40-year friendship." The plan: find Clara, then head to the island. On the way, Tano offers a theory. The radioactive particle belt that used to surround Earth, protecting it from solar winds and stuff, has been destroyed. Those radioactive particles are falling as the deadly snow. As they enter the city center, the road ahead is blocked by a massive pileup of wrecked cars. They both get out to check. Suddenly, military vehicles appear out of nowhere, swarming the area. A female soldier orders them back, saying the city center is quarantined. Rescue is coming from the military base at Campo Dio. She tells them to find shelter and wait. But Tano senses something's off. Instead of obeying, he signals Juan. The two of them will sneakily follow the military convoy to see what's really going on. When they reach the center, they're spotted. The military doesn't warn them, they just open fire. Tano quickly turns the car around, trying to escape, but the heavy snow and poor visibility cause him to lose control, and they flip over. Outside, giant mutant insects appear. They watch in horror as one wraps a soldier in a thick web. Tano and Juan scramble to find cover. But then the hallucinations hit again. Explosions, fires. When he comes to, Tano is sitting next to him with a broken walkie-talkie. They're still reeling, with no idea where those monsters came from. Seeing it's quiet, they get up to look around and realize no one else is there. They grab abandoned weapons and ammo. As they're walking, they see an insect dragging a web-cocoon soldier and then burrowing underground. They turn to run, but Tano accidentally trips, making a loud noise. This alerts the insects. Juan reacts fast, taking one down with a shot. But the loud gunshot attracts even more of them, crawling out of the ground. A mysterious figure appears, signaling them. So they bolt, running through the streets until they reach a church. Just when it looks like a dead end, a Molotov cocktail is thrown, stopping the monsters. The mysterious person reappears, ushering them inside to safety. Here, they meet a new group of survivors. Coincidentally, Omar is among them. He's been gaslighting them, saying Juan and Tano are dangerous, trying to turn this new group against them. But Juan stays calm, handles the situation smoothly, and defuses the tension. He asks if anyone knows where these monsters came from. One person in the group explains, the insects always appear with the light. There's definitely a connection. So Juan and Tano go up to the roof to observe. Sure enough, there are fireballs, like meteors, falling from the sky. Realizing it's an invasion, Tano panics and tries to leave the church, but a nun stops him, saying it could endanger everyone there. During dinner, a man named Ringo says Juan looks familiar, like they might have met in the army. But Juan doesn't remember, just says, "I'm just looking for my daughter." Juan is still focused on Clara. He tells Tano he plans to leave again. That's when Omar approaches with a suggestion. He says there's a secret passage under a bridge, currently locked, but it might be the only way to get past the wreckage and into the city. That night, one climbs onto the roof and has another vision. A massive swarm of insects moving silently, seemingly heading somewhere specific. Inside the church, the survivors argue about whether to leave. One says he found a working truck they can use. So they take a vote. Most agree to leave before the next wave of insects arrives. One tells Ringo about his frequent hallucinations. Ringo says it might just be echoes from his time fighting in the army. He also says he's in a wheelchair and will stay behind, not wanting to slow everyone down. Then the group starts moving. They reach the blocked passage. While some work on breaking through the wall, the others hide in an old bus. Among them is a young mother and her baby. Things get complicated when the baby starts crying, the loud noise alerting the insects. But just then, the wall breaks, and they try to move quickly. However, Juan and the mother and child get trapped. They're surrounded by insects. In their most desperate moment, suddenly, the church bells ring out. The monsters are drawn to the sound and head that way. Back at the church, Ringo and the nun heard the commotion. They decided to create a diversion. The bells draw the insects towards the church, away from the others. The insects swarm into the church. Inside, Ringo and the nun have prepared a welcoming party. They've poured gasoline everywhere and sit quietly waiting. A final act of courage, wanting to take the monsters down with them. They light a cigarette, and as the insects close in, they drop the match. The church erupts in flames. The insects shriek in the fire. Ringo and the nun are gone too. The remaining survivors finally reach the truck Juan saw. But it's buried under rubble. They have to use everything they've got to get it out. But things don't go as planned. While they're working, something falls, making a noise. It wakes up an insect. It grabs Tano and starts dragging him away. In that split second, someone fires a smoke grenade. It scares off the monster. But when one leaves, another arrives. While the others do everything to free the truck, one is on guard duty, gun ready to take out any monsters. Finally, they succeed. Everyone climbs into the truck bed. No one died.
No one left behind.
As they drive away, Juan looks back and sees the church burning brightly behind them. And suddenly he realizes, he's seen this moment before. In one of his visions. The darkness fades into another of Juan's hallucinations. This time he's younger, lost on a battlefield. Smoke, fire, distant screams, then an explosion throws him into a trench. He passes out. Dawn comes. He wakes up, looks around. No one else is alive. Snow begins to fall, a thick silence. Then, in the distance, he sees a figure. It's him but older, just standing there silently, as if trying to warn him about something. Back in the present, the group of survivors finally reaches Tano's neighborhood. The scene is desolate, lifeless. Tano, Juan, and Omar split from the group to go home. The others continue to the military base at Campo Dio. Juan enters his house, holding his breath. And there, just like in his vision, Clara is sleeping peacefully in Elena's arms. The moment stuns him. This is real. He gently wakes her. Thank God, his daughter is safe and sound. Elena says she'll be okay. Clara says she remembered her dad would be at Tano's for cards on Friday night, so that's how she found her way there. It's a rare moment of joy in this broken world. Everyone is overjoyed for Juan's family. Meanwhile, Roberto shows up at Tano's house. He says he wants to talk, maybe make a deal. Rumors about the insects are spreading. Tano confirms the information is true. Roberto listens, then makes a surprising offer. He'll trade his RV, one of those big motorhomes, for Tano's house and garage. He and his people think they can fight off the insects. Deal. Tano agrees immediately. With the deal done, Tano gathers his group, explaining they'll use 2 vehicles to get to the marina, then use his boat to reach his island house, where they might be safe from the monsters. But before leaving, he notices a bag of clothes in the car. Elena says it's the outfit Clara was wearing when she arrived. Tano is surprised because the clothes are from his boat, but he chalks it up to coincidence and doesn't dwell on it. On the road, other cars are speeding by, like they're running from something. They finally reach the marina, but the river is gone. Where there was water, now there's just thick mud. They can't cross. Omar suggests going to the military base for safety. But Tano is convinced his island house is the best bet for holding out. So now they have to find another way. Tano splits off to check on his boat, but can't find it anywhere. On the road, they come across the car that almost hit them a few days ago. Looking inside, it's a horrifying scene. Someone shot the whole family in the car. Violence and looting are now just a fact of life. Clara wakes up, looking a bit brighter, which cheers everyone up. Juan asks his daughter about what happened before, about the protective suit she was wearing, where she got it. But it seems she doesn't remember anything. A little further on, they reach a shopping mall. A group of survivors has set up a temporary shelter there, including the people from the church. They have everything: food, beds, even a movie projector. Everyone relaxes, except Juan. He warns them, "Be careful, keep your weapons close. The people who massacred that family on the highway could be here too." That night, after a few beers, Juan confides in Lucas. He can't shake the feeling that Clara's return was too perfect, too easy. Like it's not real. During dinner, someone at their table advises them to watch out for some guys nearby. They're from the prison across the street. No one knows if they're escaped convicts or guards. Juan glances over and feels like one of them is very familiar, but he can't place him. Later, a young man approaches and tries to talk to Clara. When she sees his face, she suddenly panics, starts hitting herself, completely losing control. Elena and Juan quickly pull her away. Elena suggests taking Clara to the military base. Maybe there's a doctor or hospital there that can help. That's when Tano pulls out a logbook from the marina. His boat left the dock on Friday night. And Clara signed for it. This proves she was on the boat, yet she remembers nothing. This is seriously messed up. Meanwhile, Lucas is bored and joins a card game. Then he says he's going to grab some more whiskey. But while he's looking, he hears a strange sound and disappears. The next morning, a miracle happens. The snow has stopped. For the first time in days, they can go outside without masks. They breathe freely, feeling like they've been reborn. But Tano pulls out his compass and discovers Earth's poles have reversed. South is now north. Soon after, they realize Lucas is missing. They don't hesitate and start searching immediately. Suddenly, gunshots ring out. 3 strangers burst into the mall, firing at everyone. It's instant chaos. Juan reacts immediately, calmly taking down one attacker, while the others have to fight their way to Anna and Inga, trading fire with the strangers. With his combat experience, Juan takes down another one. But when he goes to check, it's a woman. She's wearing a necklace with a charm representing 3 children. Juan is stunned. What would make her do this? Meanwhile, the boy who was talking to Clara last night has been shot. His wound is serious. While tending to the injured, Lucas suddenly reappears. He's not alone. He's brought soldiers from the military base. He says the army is rounding up people everywhere and convinces the group to go with them. On the way, they witness something incredible. The river that was dry yesterday is now back to normal. It seems nature is healing, or maybe just pretending to. Juan and Tano pull Lucas aside, asking why he disappeared and then showed up with the military. Lucas shrugs, says he got drunk, passed out on the highway, and luckily these soldiers found him. But the problem is, how could Lucas be at the base and then suddenly appear on a highway miles away? Meanwhile, the last surviving attacker from the mall raid is walking alone under a bridge. He enters a tunnel, but the insects don't attack. They part, making way for him, as if they know him, as if he's one of them. Cut to a bustling shopping mall. Juan is there, like nothing ever happened. Suddenly, he sees the woman he shot the day before. Juan jolts awake, finding himself on the ground. He's at the military base. He has no idea how he got there. Clara and Tano approach, saying he fainted while gathering firewood. Something's not right. The snow has stopped. The army is teaching survivors how to use weapons. But Tano is worried Juan isn't himself anymore. His body is here, but his mind seems to be drifting. Then the sergeant major calls Tano over. In the command tent, Tano sees Lucas. Lucas told the military that Tano is an electrical engineer. So they want him to fix an old radio, one that can contact survivors outside Argentina. But the catch is, to fix it, he needs to go into the city center. This is basically a suicide mission. It's dangerous, but strangely, Lucas is super enthusiastic, even offering to go with Tano if he agrees. Tano hesitates. He wants to help, but it's incredibly risky. His place is with his family. Both Tano and Juan agree that Lucas has been acting really weird lately. Just then, a convoy of new arrivals enters the base. Tano recognizes one of them as Roberto, the guy who wanted to stay and fight the monsters. But now he's alone. Everyone else in his group is dead. That's when Tano realizes how dire the situation truly is. Anna begs her husband not to take the mission because it's too dangerous. But he says their island house might not be safe anymore either, so this base is their last resort. So, even though the mission is dangerous, he has to do it. One can't bear to let his friend go alone, so he volunteers to go too, partly because he wants to find out what's really happening. That night, two men approach Juan. One of them used to work for the railroad. They say there's an old train station near the base. If they can fix a train, they can get to the city center, where there's a mysterious tower. Early next morning, everyone attends the funeral for the guy who was shot the day before. They know loss is inevitable in times like these, but it still weighs heavily on everyone. Then a team of soldiers and volunteers sets out on the new mission. They row down the river, reach the train tracks, then follow them to the station. One tells his friends that these soldiers look very familiar, but he can't remember where he's seen them. After some effort, they finally get an engine started. Everyone's worried the loud noise will wake the monsters, so they're ready to fight. But strangely, not a single one appears. Everything seems too smooth. They move slowly on the rusty tracks, plowing through debris and into the heart of the deserted town. As soon as they arrive, the group discovers a crashed military plane. No idea who shot it down. After a bit, Tano and Juan notice something's wrong. It's eerily quiet, and weirdly, there are no monsters in sight. Everyone needs to be on high alert. When they reach the city center, they split into 3 teams. One team checks the downed plane. Another finds and repairs the radio. The third team is on perimeter defense. When Inga's team inspects the plane, they discover it's a bomber from the Peruvian military. Its target was the city's stadium. Someone wonders why they'd fly all the way from Peru just to bomb a stadium at a time like this. Suddenly, a lot of civilians appear, but they don't seem to be in their right minds. Meanwhile, Tano's team finally gets the radio working. A distress signal is sent out to anyone who might be listening. Just then, Omar spots a strange light coming from the stadium. But nobody knows what it is. Juan knows something's wrong and insists they have to check it out. But the commander dismisses it, saying it's not necessary. With nothing else to do, Tano's group starts a card game. Everything seems normal, but then Lucas loses it. He jumps up, screaming about a plan, about conspiracies by forces beyond understanding. Then he grabs a metal bar, stabs Omar with it, and runs off. Tano and Juan see this and immediately chase him up to the roof. Up there, Lucas keeps ranting about a bigger plan, about something that started even before the snow. And then he just jumps. Grieving their friend's death, Juan and Tano then realize the team that went to check the plane has returned. But not just them. Those strange civilians are with them, and they're all out of control, chasing Juan's group. In the chaos, Juan, Tano, Omar, and a few others manage to escape. They jump on the train to get away. But Juan can't let it go. He needs to know what happened to everyone, and what's inside that stadium. He and a soldier named Franco decide to go there together to investigate. The others will head back to base to warn everyone. What they see at the stadium is horrifying. It's like a military base, but controlled by monsters. A training center for humans hypnotized by the insects. People controlled, stripped of their will, turned into soldiers. As Juan goes deeper into the stadium center, everything becomes clear. Turns out, his earlier hallucinations weren't fake, nor were they prophecies. They were memories. He's been through all of this before. Suddenly, a blue light flares up from a shack in the middle of the field. Juan realizes that's the real enemy. A mysterious creature, with the power to hypnotize and control everyone. Juan looks at the crowd of captured people, then remembers his daughter. Clara stands there, her eyes empty, soulless. And in that moment, Juan understands. His daughter has been controlled too. So yeah, this is The Eternaut, an Argentine sci-fi survival series on Netflix, based on the comic book of the same name. It's a post-apocalyptic story, but with a ton of fresh, new details that really suck you in and make you curious. Definitely a binge-worthy show for when you've got some downtime. Alright, that's all for today's video.